Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering First Esdras chapters 1 through 3. You were just going to say 1 through 3, weren't you?
Yes, I was. That was my mistake.
Oh, man, that's horrible. You should feel bad.
There's no
anything in it.
It doesn't. It's just
It has things in it that it doesn't say on the cover. So I'm going to check. But yeah, we got First Esdras.
Yes, so this is basically a retelling of Ezra and Nehemiah. Basically, we get some stuff from Chronicles in here. Very, very exciting things. Classic stuff. We needed a refresher.
Yeah, definitely,
on these,
because we've just finished Ezekiel. And, well, we're not finished with Ezekiel, but we're in Ezekiel.
Yeah.
We just finished Jeremiah. And this is supposed to happen afterwards.
Right.
It makes sense to cover it now.
Yeah. So we can hop into it. I'm going to introduce some of these things. So first of all, the naming conventions are very... It's a little complicated.
It's unconventional, you might say.
Yes, I am going to say that it's unconventional. So, how about I'm just going to get into this. This is from the Anchor Bible, from Jacob Myers. Classic commentary and new translation.
Fucking nothing. The NIV
Yeah, I
has
told you
let
there was
me
nothing.
down.
Yeah, I told you there's nothing in that one. I already checked that one. Erdman's, however, does have a commentary on it. So, First Esdras owes its name to the Greek Bible, where Esdras A is First Esdras and Esdras B is both Ezra and Nehemiah. In some lists, Esdras Alpha, Esdras Beta, and Esdras Gamma stand for First Esdras, Ezra, and Nehemiah. So these divisions are, a little bit different. There is no Greek Esdras Delta, but there is mention of Esdras o Prophetes, so the prophet Esdras. And also Esdras Apocalypsis, so revelation, or Esdras revelation, or unveiling. The Vulgate has First Esdras. Actually, hold on. It has Esdras 1, that's Ezra. Esdras 2, that's Nehemiah. Esdras 3 is actually First Esdras, this one. And then Esdras 4 is Second Esdras.
Thanks,
Amazing.
Jerome.
So it's very
Unnecessary.
Yeah, it can get a little confusing depending on the textual tradition that you're following.
I like how they just ignore Nehemiah in that listing. They're like,
No, that was the second one.
yeah, it's Second Esdras, but it's not the book of Nehemiah
Yeah.
in the Vulgate. It's not called the book of Nehemiah.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that would be the same for Ezra then.
Yeah, but at least you can
Kind
make
of.
the case that the name's kind of close.
Fair enough.
There's no aspect of the name Nehemiah in Esdras.
Yeah. You are correct. So he goes over, a few other lists, and he essentially gives the storyline, which is basically the stuff we already covered. You have some stuff from Chronicles, and then stuff from Ezra and Nehemiah, and which is a thing he does, which is nice, is he has parallels to the sections in the rest of the Bible, which is great. So we can actually look these up. So it starts off with parallels to Second Chronicles, which of course has parallels to Second Kings. So we can check those as well. And then it goes on to Ezra and Ezra and then Nehemiah as well. So
Yeah.
all that stuff, fantastic.
So all I remember from Ezra and Nehemiah was, one, they get permission to build a wall.
To rebuild the temple.
Yeah. 2, they build a wall. 3, they hate race mixing.
Yes. Those are pretty much the highlights, I think.
Yeah.
There was that I think at the beginning of one of them there was that letter that was supposedly from Cyrus, and he was like giving praise to God.
Yeah.
I think that was in there, if I'm not.
And that's part of them seeking out permission to rebuild.
Yeah, I think that was in there, if I'm not mistaken. It is clear that the time sequence was not a primary concern of the author. There was therefore either another frame of reference that is no longer unquestionably discernible, because it looks like the time periods are just kind of out of order, or disorder was already prevalent in the text from which the translation was made, or the compiler followed an order of history peculiar to his period. C.C. Torrey refers to the historical sequence as an astounding example of history stood on its head, inasmuch as First Esdras announces the Edict of Cyrus with initiation of movements leading to the first returns. Then comes the story of the correspondence between the Samaritan officials and Artaxerxes, and that's Ahasuerus. And Ahasuerus or Xerxes in Ezra 4:6, in which the progress of wall building operations is described, together with other construction work. Only then are we introduced to the Darius period in chapter 3. Yeah, in chapters 3 and 4. Ezra chapter 4 appears to be a summary of the Jews' collisions with local imperial authorities in the reigns of Cyrus, Darius, Xerxes, and Artaxerxes, and related here for illustrative purposes. So getting into, we talked a little bit about the text, but you have it in the Greek version and Syriac versions, Latin versions, and in a good amount of versions, basically. So it's preserved in quite a few things. There are multiple Greek versions as well, and they do have a key here that we can use for that. So purpose and date. So the purpose and date of First Esdras are closely related. If either could be determined independentely, it would not be too difficult to fix upon the other. Of course, it's so the latest it would be the time of Josephus, I guess, who utilized our book as the main source for his history of the period covered by it. So because it was used by Josephus, we know it had to have been before Josephus. He appears... Okay, so he lists off some places that he uses it. Pfeiffer thinks First Esdras is part of a Greek translation of the relevant sections of Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, produced in Alexandria, quote, not later than 150 BC. Such external evidence is available, and favoring this date and providence has been collected by Torrey and is based chiefly on a quotation of 2 Chronicles 2:12 by the Greek historian Eupolemus, whose work dates also to 150 BCE. The latter, dealing with preparation for the construction of the Solomonic Temple, quotes from the Solomon-Hiram correspondence according to the Chronicles version. That quotation appears to represent the same type of Greek translation as found in First Esdras. So Berthold, another scholar, this is from a while ago too. So he actually did work from 1812 to 1819. So I don't know if his commentary would be of much use. That won't be covered here, because that's quite a while ago. We've discovered quite a few things since then. It looks like around 150. Definitely have to be after Chronicles and Ezra and Nehemiah.
Well,
They're
it's
used as sources.
certainly interesting to know what they thought about this in 1819.
Sure, he observed that the compiler of First Esdras brought together from older works a history of the temple from the last period of the legal cultus until its reconstruction and the reinstitution of the prescribed worship. That's what it says there about him. So it doesn't help a lot with the date, but it's there. So,
well, we at least know that it's after the second temple was constructed.
yeah, I would say so. I mean, most of this we can gather from just reading it, honestly, for the purpose.
All right.
Like it's just we're just gonna get right into it, I think.
So when the title of the book says First Esdras and Second Esdras,
Yeah.
does that mean that?
Oh, they're both in here.
Well, not only they're both in there, does that mean that they're just ignoring the Vulgate naming convention, where First and Second Esdras would just be Ezra and Nehemiah?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that helps you with understanding that, I suppose. There's not really much that Erdman's commentary adds on this.
Who's the commentator from Erdman's?
Hugh G.M. Williamson. That sounds like a fake name. It's not, I don't think, but it sounds like it could be.
Hugh G.
Yeah. That sounds like there's like a hint of a fake name in there.
Yeah, it does.
Just don't name your kids Hugh. Don't do it. It's a bad idea.
If your last name is Rection, don't name your kid Hugh G.
All right. Here is the translation for you. And I mean, I don't think I have much else to add.
All right. Well, this translation and presumably commentary is by Jacob M. Myers, and it doesn't have like a cover sleeve.
No, it does not. Did not come with one.
Because these Anchor Bible cover sleeves,
yes,
are quite something.
They are nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
So, yes, I apologize that this time around we cannot give you some nightmare fuel.
Great. Well, then, without further ado, why don't I hop into chapter 1, unless there's something that you want to say first.
Let's see. So,
Yeah, I have something to say. What are we all?
I have no idea.
You're right.
I don't know what I am anymore.
Yeah, I like that comment.
Yeah.
So one thing before we hop into the first chapter. So it begins with an account of the last part of Josiah's reign based on 2 Chronicles 35. So the seemingly abrupt opening has been used to argue that the work as we have it is not complete. But it may be noted that the narrative part of Chronicles itself begins equally abruptly at 1 Chronicles 10. That's true. Remember those first ones?
Yes.
Yeah, those first 9, that was bad.
They were awful.
Yeah, horrible.
So there's a bit of detail in here. Now, the first chapter starts with Josiah's Passover. Right? And it goes on to Josiah's death.
Yeah.
Right? And it says here that the story agrees in general with that transmitted by the chronicler. Yet the writer has his own way of stressing certain points and glossing over others. One cannot always determine whether a given word of the original has been misread intentionally or inadvertently. For example, in 2 Chronicles 35:3, it's affirmed that the Levites were the instructors of all Israel. 1 Esdras 1:3 makes them temple servants. Was it simply a misreading of the Hebrew or the influence subsequently related of the functions of the Levites? However, in 9, 48, and 49, the author uses a much stronger term for the function of the Levites than the Septuagint of Nehemiah 8:7 and 9. For
Yeah, it could also be a rabbinic understanding of the time, because they like to do that a lot.
so
they like to interpolate those kinds of things.
yeah, they have different terminology that's used. There's apparently misreadings of Second Chronicles that are built in here. So let's get into it. And Josiah celebrated in Jerusalem the Passover to his Lord. They slaughtered the Passover lamb on the 14th day of the first month, stationing the priests according to their courses and girded for service in the temple of the Lord. He specifically charged the Levites, the temple servants of Israel, to sanctify themselves to the Lord when depositing the sacred ark of the Lord in the house which King Solomon, the son of David, had built. It is no longer necessary for you to carry it around on your shoulders.
Wait, hold on. That Solomon had built? Are we talking about the Ark of the Covenant here?
In the house which King Solomon had built.
Okay, so
because Solomon built the temple.
Yeah, he built the temple.
Yes, that is what they are talking about.
Okay, but I thought that they also said that he built the Ark.
No, it says, when depositing the sacred ark of the Lord in the house which King Solomon... Yeah. Okay. So now we're in a quoting section. Right? It is no longer necessary for you to carry it around on your shoulders. So now serve the Lord your God, minister to his people Israel, and prepare the Passover according to your families and tribes in conformity with the decree of David, king of Israel, and the grandeur of Solomon his son, and standing in proper order in the holy place according to your family division, as the division of the Levites serving before your brothers, the sons of Israel, slaughter the Passover, prepare the sacrifices for your brothers, and observe the Passover in harmony with the command of the Lord given to Moses.
And if you watched our history of the Passover video, you would know that the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover festival itself were originally separate and were only later put together.
Yeah, and that little section, it was someone talking, but it doesn't say who. So we're going to assume it was Josiah, I guess.
Well, didn't he... The very first verse was like, and Josiah...
celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't say... He said he gave a decree. It says that he charged the Levites to sanctify themselves to the Lord when depositing the ark. But
I mean, maybe this is just a translation issue.
Maybe.
But yeah, for me, I don't think it would make sense that because of the person that it's written in. They would, unless Josiah is like the Rock. I don't think it would have been him talking.
Well, no.
It's his command.
Let me show you, right? They have this preamble, and then they have this section where it's someone
verse
talking.
4, okay.
And it's not clear who, but we're going to assume it's Josiah.
Gotcha.
Then Josiah provided for the people who were present 30... Hold on. 30,000 sheep and young goats, and 3,000 head of cattle. These were contributed from the royal bounty as pledged to the people, the priests, and the Levites. Hilkiah, Zechariah, and Jehiel, the overseers of the temple, also contributed to the priests for the Passover 2,600 sheep and 300 head of cattle. Conaniah, Shemaiah, Nathaniel his brother, Shebiah, Okiel, and Joram, the chiefs, contributed to the Levites for the Passover 1,000 sheep and 700 head of cattle.
So I do remember a lot of those names coming up when we were reading through, the actual biblical text. Now it's noted in here that there are a lot of differences between the biblical texts and First Esdras. And it says also specifically for a discussion of these, the reader is referred to the notes in Meyer's commentary.
Yeah, so it says here that contributions for the Passover must be regarded as reflecting the generosity of the contributors and the full participation of the community. The numbers of animals of all kinds provided by the king and the chiefs of the house of God are the same for Chronicles as for First Esdras.
Okay.
The number of the small animals given by the Levites has been scaled down from 5,000 to 1,000, while that of large animals, oxen or bulls, has been increased from 500 to 700.
Interesting. Is that like I don't know what that would. Why? My best guess would be that small animals, they're weak and helpless, so you can't sacrifice those. That's not showing your strength. But if you kill more big and strong things, that shows your strength.
Maybe
That's my guess.
It could be that there was another polemic at the time about bulls from Baal or something. Who knows? It's a mystery to me. Anyways, the following then took place. The priests and the Levites, with the unleavened bread, took their place with proper dignity, according to tribes and family divisions, before the people to offer the sacrifice to the Lord as prescribed in the book of Moses, which they did in the morning. I guess they're referring to the Torah there.
Yes, that would be that. So, well after exile here.
Then they roasted the Passover over fire as required. They boiled.
At least historically speaking. In the narrative, no, but historically speaking.
And when they're referring to the Passover, they mean the lamb.
Yeah.
They boiled the sacrificial victims in copper kettles and cauldrons with delectable smell, and distributed them all to the people. Afterward, they provided for themselves and for the priests, their brothers, the sons of Aaron, because the priests served the fat pieces until very late in the night. Therefore, the Levites provided for themselves and for the priests, their brothers, the sons of Aaron. The temple singers, the sons of Asaph, were stationed in their posts in accordance with the regulations of David and Asaph, Zechariah, and Edenos, the royal officials.
Do you remember when they were listing these off, like all the people that had specific roles in the temple, like in the biblical text? That was horrible to read through.
It was. So the celebrations began with the priests and Levites taking their respective assigned places for the rites of unleavened bread, which is not mentioned in the Chronicles parallel, 2 Chronicles 35:10, until later, verse 17. While both sacrifices were slain at the same time, their indication is that only the unleavened bread rite was performed in the morning, possibly again a misreading of the Hebrew. Then the Passover was roasted and boiled, conflation with Exodus 12:8 and Deuteronomy 16:7. Apparently, the Levites were busy with paschal duties while the priests were engaged in presenting burnt offerings, so that the former took care of the needs of the other officiants, priests, temple singers, and gatekeepers. The ubiquity of the Levites is indicative of their place in the sources which First Esdras accepted without question.
What verse are you on?
Well, I was reading commentary.
I know, but what verse were you on?
But I just finished verse 13.
Okay.
The temple singers, the sons of Asaph, were stationed in their posts in accordance with the regulations of David and Asaph, Zechariah, and Edenos, the royal officials. That was verse 14. While the gatekeepers were in position at each gateway. Not one had to leave his post of daily service. For their brothers, the Levites, provided for them. Thus, everything pertaining to the sacrifices of the Lord was carried out that day. The Passover was celebrated, and the sacrifices offered upon the altar of the Lord according to the indication of King Josiah. So the sons of Israel who were present at that time celebrated the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days. Such a Passover celebration had not taken place in Israel since the time of the prophet Samuel, nor had any of the kings of Israel ever celebrated such a Passover as Josiah. The priests, the Levites, the Jews, and all Israel present in their homes in Jerusalem had just celebrated. This Passover was celebrated in the 18th year of Josiah's reign.
All right. So
that was verse 20.
That was verse 20. Okay. Tell me once you get through verse 24.
So if the text of verse 19 is accepted as it now stands, the reference to all Israel present in their homes in Jerusalem does not conform with the Masoretic text of 2 Chronicles 35:18. Originally, the Passover was a family feast kept in the home, Exodus 12, from the time of Josiah until the destruction of the temple in AD 70, except for the period between 587 and 517/516 BC. It was a pilgrimage feast held at Jerusalem. The celebrations of Hezekiah, 2 Chronicles 30, perhaps to some extent a precedent for the Deuteronomist, and Josiah followed the regulations laid down in Deuteronomy 16:1-6, according to which the Passover was not to be celebrated in the local communities, but at the sanctuary where Yahweh your God chooses to put his name. Could it be that first Esdras reverts to the priestly regulation of Exodus? Is the passage a simple misreading of the Hebrew? Or does it imply a limitation of celebrants to the cult personnel and the laity who happen to reside at Jerusalem? It will be recalled, however, that Hezekiah invited all Israel and Judah and made a special point of urging Ephraim and Manasseh to participate, 2 Chronicles 30, verse 1. Josiah, too, is said to have included all Judah and Israel, 2 Chronicles 35:18. So there's some questionable content there in terms of the actual historical function.
Yeah.
Now we're on a small section on Josiah's piety. The works of Josiah succeeded before his Lord because of the piety which his heart was filled. And his story was chronicled in former times because of those who had sinned and acted impiously against the Lord beyond every nation and kingdom, and how painfully they grieved him, so that the words of the Lord against Israel were confirmed. That's the end of verse 22. Now,
just one thing quick. Your camera seems quite a bit off there. I don't know what...
What's wrong?
Ruben's camera?
Yeah, what's wrong?
It seems like really, really off. Does it not seem off to you?
a little bit.
I guess.
I don't know.
I mean, you want me to like...
No, I mean, it's fine. I just, I wanted to know if I was crazy or not.
Well, you
You're not
are.
crazy.
Okay, sure, but not because of that?
Not because of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Josiah's piety, there's this small section that's 2 verses. So the book prefaces the downfall of Josiah with these verses. They're intended as an explanation as to a reason for the misfortune of the king, despite his reforming activity and piety.
You know, in 2 Kings, we didn't get a great explanation to that. It was just like, the damage has been done already, so even though you reformed, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't have possibly saved this place. So hopefully this gives us a better explanation, because that one really we're left kind of wanting.
Of course, Ezekiel says that if someone is doing wrong and then they decide to change and do according to the word of the Lord, that person shall not die. Right?
And then there's the whole very anti how would you put it? Like sin is not passed down.
Right.
Yeah.
It's you don't inherit your parents' sins.
Yeah, inherited. There you go. That'd be the word for it.
You don't get original sin either.
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it's nonsense.
Ezekiel's very much anti that.
Yep. Josiah's death. Now, after all this activity of Josiah, it happened that Pharaoh, king of Egypt, came up to conduct a military campaign at Carchemish on the Euphrates, and Josiah went out to confront him. Then the king of Egypt sent the following message to him. What have we to do with each other, O king of Judah? I have not been sent out by the Lord God against you. Rather, my war is on the Euphrates. Now the Lord is with me, and the Lord who is with me is driving me on. So restrain yourself and do not resist the Lord.
So
this is obviously not something that a pharaoh of Egypt would say.
Pharaoh is supposedly saying that. I don't think so.
No. Certainly
seems a
not.
little sus to me.
I suppose.
Right? Was that what the kids say these days? Sus?
Yeah, the Zoomers.
Yeah.
Let's really care what they think.
They say sus. They say BFF, but it's different than when we used BFF.
It is?
Yeah, it's different now.
Like, is it?
It's more generalized.
Oh, that's all right.
It loses the original meaning
Okay.
entirely.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So the campaign of Pharaoh Necho was directed against the Medes and Babylonians, as Josephus's Antiquities of the Jews asserts, and not against the king of Assyria, 2 Kings 23:29. First Esdras followed the Masoretic text of Chronicles, since the Septuagint of 2 Chronicles 35:20 has borrowed the king's phrase "epi ton basileia Assyrion" against the king of the Assyrians. There is more here than meets the eye. The Egyptians maintained a garrison at Carchemish on the Euphrates, which held out against the Babylonians until 605 BC, and were apparently allies of the Assyrians. Necho's mission was undertaken to support his garrison and so aid the Assyrians. The Babylonian Chronicle refers to an Egyptian crossing of the Euphrates at Carchemish to engage the Babylonians quartered at Kuramati, from which the latter withdrew forthwith. Josiah was a supporter of the Babylonians, and despite his defeat at Megiddo, may have altered Necho's timetable to such an extent that the Assyrians failed in their attempt to retake Haran, the capital of Assyria, after the fall of Nineveh. Haran has been overthrown by the Babylonians and Medes in 610. So, also, First Esdras regards Necho as an instrument of the Lord.
Right. That's in 2 Kings, I think. Yeah, in 2 Kings, in fact, in the entire Kingdoms narrative, these things weren't viewed in quite the same way. Like, this was, this is very much closer to stuff that the later prophets were saying,
Right.
than stuff we were getting in Kings.
And it makes sense because it's a later book.
Yeah.
So the chronicler speaks of him as being under divine orders. Josiah refused to heed the words of Necho, probably because he didn't believe that Necho was an instrument of Yahweh. First Esdras definitizes the source of the mouth of God by stating that Josiah paid no attention to the words of the prophet Jeremiah, which came from the mouth of the Lord, which I suppose we'll get into now.
Yeah, really shortly.
Right. Nevertheless, Josiah did not return to his chariot, but attacked him, paying no attention to the words of the prophet Jeremiah, which came from the mouth of the Lord. Wow.
Did we get that stuff in Kings? I don't think that's how it went down.
I'm not sure about that.
I'll have to look back at it, but I don't.
Of course, we know that in the book of Jeremiah, nobody pays attention to what Jeremiah says.
Yeah, that was one of his big complaints.
What was that?
Huh?
Made something, Jeremiah?
Hello? What? He engaged him in battle on the plain of Megiddo, where the leaders came against King Josiah. Then the king said to his attendants, "Remove me from battle, for I am seriously wounded." And his attendants removed him immediately from the battle line. He got up to his second chariot, and while he was being returned to Jerusalem, he died and was buried in the ancestral tomb.
Yeah, so this is from 2 Kings 23. So in his days, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up to the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates. King Josiah went to meet him, and Pharaoh Necho killed him at Megiddo as soon as he saw him. And his servants carried him dead in a chariot from Megiddo and brought him to Jerusalem and buried him in his own tomb.
That's much different. I mean,
And hold on, and
here-
the people of the land took.
I'm not done.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
fair enough.
But yeah, that's very different in that.
Yeah, lots of stuff
here
has been.
Josiah attacks him.
Yeah, exactly.
And there it's just like, well, as soon as he saw him, he killed him. So
Yeah.
they actually like talk and then fight. So who knows whether one's more historically accurate than the other. We weren't there.
We were not.
No.
Either way, a dude died.
Yep. In all Judah, they mourned for Josiah. Jeremiah the prophet composed a dirge in honor of Josiah, and the prominent men, together with the women, lament him to this very day. This has become an established custom for the entire nation of Israel. These things are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah.
Uh-oh.
Was it not written?
You know, maybe we should have a command for that.
We should. So these things are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah, as well as every single act of Josiah, his splendor, and
Wait, hold on. Now, there are a couple options here. Now, usually, okay, so are they just quoting? Are they quoting Kings and Chronicles that quote those texts, or did they have access to those texts?
Ooh, that is a good question. It appears...
Now, if they had access to those texts...
It appears that they had access to them because it says here, these things are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah, as well as every single act of Josiah, his splendor, and his understanding of the law of the Lord. Both his earlier and later achievements are narrated in the book of the Kings of Israel and Judah.
Okay, I would just say that... Because if, and this is a big if the author of this had access to those actual books, then I think you might have a good argument for this being closer to the way Josiah died.
You might. Though both books refer to the book of the Chronicles of the Kings.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but... I mean, I don't see why they would refer to it like that unless it was something that was available for people who read this to read.
Yeah. And, I mean, we'll see how many times they reference it.
Yeah. Because otherwise it's just bullshit, right? I can be like, and all the acts of Lawrence, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel and Judah?
And the answer would be no.
Well, the answer would be yes.
Oh, they are? Oh, shit. Okay,
definitely.
Cool. Sweet.
You've never read the book, though, and you never will.
Fair enough.
So you can't affirm or deny it.
I cannot.
But it's in there. I guarantee it.
Like those angelic tablets.
Yeah. Well, we're on the next section here. We're talking about Jehoahaz. Then
so this is just starting. Are you starting which verse?
32.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, continue on. Before we read 34, I got a thing.
All right. Then the people of the land took Jeconiah, the son of Josiah, and made him king in place of Josiah his father when he was 23 years old. He was king in Israel and in Jerusalem for 3 months when the king of Egypt dethroned him in Jerusalem and levied upon the nation an indemnity of 100 talents of silver and 1 talent of gold.
Oh, boy. All right.
So the amount of tribute given by Necho is laid upon Judah by Necho is the same in all accounts in Kings and Chronicles.
Congratulations.
Yep. So they got that right.
That's rare.
Now we're in another subsection. Jehoiakim.
Is this the verse?
Verse 35.
Oh, okay. No, I have to. Okay. I got a thing for pretty much verses 34 through 58.
Okay.
So to introduce him. So, the author here follows his Oh, you know what this explains? He follows his source, 2 Chronicles 36, 1 through 21, closely. Even the apparently most significant difference at 138 is usually explained as due to no more than misunderstanding or textual error. As with the account of Josiah's death, however, there are hints that in the process of translation, the author was inclined to heighten the culpability of the people. Ah, okay. So they really wanted to do that. With the passage of time, history becomes more rigidly black and white, and the author wants to represent in the starkest form how low the nation had sunk in order that the remainder of his work, this might more effectively point up the contrast with the steady unraveling of the work of restoration of all that is here described as lost. So it seems that the author is, in the midst of this, he wants to blame the people more. They were already blaming themselves. We knew that, but now he wants to go deeper.
Yes.
That's the reason.
And I also want to point out, for anyone who's interested, First Esdras is 9 chapters long.
Yeah, it's not...
so we'll probably do 3 episodes on...
Sounds about right, yeah.
The king of Egypt elevated King Jehoiakim, his brother, as king of Judah and Jerusalem. Moreover, Jehoiakim imprisoned the chief men and arrested Zarios, his brother, whom he took along to Egypt.
That's a cool name.
Yes, Zarios.
I want to name my kid Zarios.
You're never going to have any kids.
I won't, but if I ever do, Zarios it is.
You could just remember that name for your next D&D character.
No.
Yeah.
I want a person to have that name.
That's how, never mind.
No, Chris is so removed from reality that he considers characters in D&D at the same level that he considers actual human beings.
No.
Aren't you guys infinitely more complicated than a piece of paper?
Huh? Not infinitely, no.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. See, there you go.
That would be
gotta have something
impossible.
in common.
So
hey, thank you, whoever, for subscribing.
Yes,
Sorry.
I can't quite see that, but yes, thank you.
Yep.
Jake.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jake.
Middle name Jake. Thanks.
Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king of Judah and Jerusalem. He too did evil in the sight of the Lord. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, then came up against him, bound him with copper chains, and took him away to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also took some of the sacred vessels of the Lord, transported them to Babylon, where he deposited them in his temple in Babylon. The tales related about him, his depravity and his impiety, are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings.
Yep, there we are. Thank you again for the Chronicles of
the
Kings of Judah and Israel. Classic stuff.
Okay, now we're in another subsection, Jehoiachin. Jehoiakim, his son, then became king instead of him. He was 8 years old when he was proclaimed king. He reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem and did evil in the sight of the Lord.
Ah.
Yeah, these damn 8-year-olds always doing evil in the sight of the Lord. At the turn of the year, Nebuchadnezzar had him brought to Babylon together with the sacred vessels of the Lord. Now we're in another subsection.
Yeah, these are very short now because like after Josiah, they don't really care that much, I suppose.
No, not at all.
Yeah, they describe the Passover celebration of Josiah, and then immediately talk about they just go quickly down this line of kings.
Yeah, and First Esdras follows Chronicles for Jehoiachin here, almost verbatim. The importance of Jehoiachin for the subsequent history of Judah may be seen from the genealogy of First Chronicles 3:17 through 18, and the role of Zerubbabel, his grandson.
That was a traumatic time for us.
Mm-hmm. Despite his short reign from early December 598 to mid-March 597, He was still regarded as the legitimate king, while Zedekiah was simply a regent. The seals of Eliakim, steward of Yaukin, may point to the maintenance intact of the property of the king in the hope that he would someday return to power. See Jeremiah 28:4. That was not to be. Though he was ultimately released from prison, he died in exile. Jehoiachin may have enjoyed popular favor, in part because he was the legitimate successor to the throne, whereas his uncle Zedekiah was an appointee of Babylon. So now we're in the Zedekiah section. And made Zedekiah king of Judah and Jerusalem. The verse literally starts in the middle of a sentence. So it goes, previous verse, at the turn of the year, Nebuchadnezzar had him brought to Babylon together with the sacred vessels of the Lord, current verse, and made Zedekiah king of Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah being 21 years of age.
Well, it's still one thought, though.
Yeah.
But
should be one verse. He reigned 11 years. He, too, did evil in the sight of the Lord and disregarded the words spoken by Jeremiah the prophet from the mouth of the Lord. Although he swore an oath to King Nebuchadnezzar in the name of the Lord, he violated his oath, rebelled with a stiff neck and hardened heart.
Stiff neck and hardened heart?
He's dual wielding.
Transgressed the laws of the Lord God of Israel. Also, the leaders of the people and the priests acted very impiously and lawlessly beyond all the abominations of the nations and defiled the consecrated temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. The God of their fathers sent word through his messengers to recall them because he wanted to spare them and his dwelling place. But they held his messengers in contempt, and whenever the Lord spoke, they laughed his prophets to scorn until he, becoming angry with his people on account of their depravity, incited the kings of the Chaldeans to go up against them. They slew with the sword their youths around the holy temple, sparing neither young man nor maiden, neither old man nor child. But he delivered all of them into their hands, and they carried off to Babylon all the sacred vessels of the Lord, both great and small, the treasure chests of the Lord, and the royal stores which they had taken. They set the house of the Lord on fire, broke down the walls of Jerusalem, set fire to its towers, and completely demolished all its glories. The survivors he led away at sword point to Babylon, and they became his and his sons' slaves, until the rise of the Persian regime, to fulfill the word of the Lord at the mouth of Jeremiah, quote, until the land enjoys its Sabbaths, all the time of its desolation, it shall celebrate the Sabbath, up to the completion of 70 years, end quote. And they...
So now
the chronicler combined the Jeremiah prophecy with that of the Leviticus passage, chapter 26, and reinterpreted them in harmony with his theology.
Okay, so now after getting this brief survey of why this is all happening, we're obviously going to skip the time of the exile, I'm guessing, and then just hop to when they're leaving exile.
Yeah, this first chapter, this first verse of the second chapter, which you're about to read.
Yes, absolutely.
Literally starts with the
restoration
under
under
Cyrus.
Yeah. So skipping quite a bit. But you know what? Yeah, that's the part that matters to them. The part that matters is the exile, why it happened, and then why they're back now.
Also, interestingly enough, they cover every verse in chapter 1, but then the commentary doesn't pick back up until verse 16 of chapter 2 in Eerdmans.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yep.
That's really sad. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, to make sure to drop a like, subscribe.
No, it's there. It's
Okay.
there. I just misread it. I glossed over something.
Uh-oh.
Like all those biblical scholars.
No, you pulled a biblical scribe.
Yeah, I pulled a scribe.
You pulled a scribe. Just glossing over something. Yeah, so if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure to gently incinerate the like button. I don't know, just be a real annoyance to the like button.
Yeah,
Just
share it
get
with
on
your
its nerves.
friends, family, neighbors, invading kings.
Oh, invading aliens as well.
Oh, yeah, UFOs.
Yeah, they need access to something like this because we are, of course, the best mode of communication between humans and aliens.
Yep.
They didn't know.
For
Don't
whatever
tell
reason.
them our secret, Lawrence. Come on, that was the thing we kept between us.
I'm sorry.
Jeez, man.
That's it. Government's gonna get
Now
me.
all the inner workings of Milwaukee Atheists will fall apart because of that secret revealed. No.
So this section on the first 15 verses of this chapter is it's not really referencing that much to the verses themselves, but let me tell you what it says here because it's short. Basing himself closely on Ezra 1 and omitting the overlap between the end of Chronicles and the beginning of Ezra, our author here, for the first time in Hebrew literature, directly connects the late monarchic, exilic, and restoration periods. The theme of continuity between the first and second temples had frequently been made before in various ways, but this bold narrative presentation goes about as far as is possible in the direction of relativizing the radical disjuncture caused by the exile. Within the framework thus provided, the continuity themes of the earlier narratives, such as in this passage, the prophetic word and the return of the temple vessels, receive even greater emphasis. The author could thus achieve his purpose by a new narrative setting, and so had little need to change the text of his source. It is not clear, therefore, whether the variant forms of the list of vessels in verses 13 and 14, in which the total number equals the sum of the parts, unlike the case in the obscure Ezra 1, 9 through 11, is due to the superior text or the results of secondary harmonization in the course of transmission.
I mean, both are always possible.
Yeah, but it's not clear which.
Yeah. All right. So we can hop into this next one, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm going to hop to the restroom.
I don't think you will.
Oh. I may.
Then you're going to have to wait. I'm not going to sit here all alone.
Well, luckily
Our
for
producer left, and then Ruben was about to leave. Whatever. Wait in line for all I care.
There is a literal, well, there's not a line. If I went there
would be a
and
line.
waited. But you forget there's multiple restrooms in this building.
Yeah, that's also true. But no, wait in line.
Oh, yes, I will.
Okay, whatever. I'm going to start reading anyways.
So I'm going upstairs. I'll be back.
Oh, fantastic. So today, on today's show, you're just going to have me. It's going to be all me. Let's get to reading this. So, the decree of Cyrus and the response thereto. The first year of Cyrus's reign, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, the Lord aroused the spirit of Cyrus, king of the Persians, who issued the following proclamation to his entire kingdom, and which he also put in writing. So I'm guessing this is going to be just the same decree that was in Ezra. That's my guess here. So the decree of Cyrus is recorded no fewer than 3 times in the canonical scriptures. So you have them in 2 Chronicles, and then there is actually in Ezra 1 through 4, and also 6, 3 through 5. First Esdras and Josephus also have it. The Hebrew version in Ezra 1 through 4, and the Aramaic version in Ezra 6, 3 through 5 are, in all probability, not variants of the same document, but independent documents dealing with the same official act. It's interesting to me that they listed this off as to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah. I mean, that makes sense theologically. That's being put in there. I don't think that was in the one in Ezra. I remember Cyrus was, at least he was reported to have talked about, the Lord has I think it was like the Lord has sent me, stuff like that. But I don't think it had anything to do with Jeremiah. So that's a very interesting theological note, I think. All right. Continuing on here, I think. Oh, wow. This is a very, very strangely set up commentary, actually, for this section, as opposed to all the other ones. Weird. Okay. Let's continue. Thus says the king of the Persians, Cyrus, the Lord of Israel, the Lord Most High, has proclaimed me king of the world and designated me to build for him a house in Jerusalem, in the land of Judah. If now any of you belongs to this people, may his Lord be with him. Go up to Jerusalem in Judah and build the house of the Lord of Israel, for he is the Lord who has established his residence in Jerusalem. So, classic. That's where I put my name, stuff like that. Oh, look who has returned. It's the crew.
The entire crew. Yes.
The people are here.
Yeah. What verse are you on now?
I just finished verse 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Let all now, no matter where they live, help him. Those in his neighborhood with gold and with silver and with gifts, with horses and cattle, together with other things set aside by vows for the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. This seems a little more detailed than the accounts that we have canonically.
It probably is.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ezra and Nehemiah, because this is where Ezra picks up, right? Roughly.
Yeah. I think, it basically starts this decree.
So Ezra is a very short book.
Fairly short, yeah.
Like,
As far as biblical books go, yeah.
yeah.
We've read longer.
So it wouldn't surprise me if this is more in depth.
Fair enough.
Anything could be more in depth if it was any longer, yeah.
And then here's the response. That was the decree. Here's the response. Following this, the chiefs of the families of the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, with the priests and Levites, indeed all whose spirit the Lord had inspired, arose to go up to build the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. Their neighbors helped them with everything, with silver and gold, horses, cattle, and with a great many other things, vowed by all whose mind had been inspired to do so. Now, I was looking into the understandings of like the Lord's Spirit being put upon things. We get it a lot. We got there's also remember with the Elisha getting a double portion of the Spirit? Yes. Okay. So I have been looking into, I started doing more detailed research, I guess, on the suffering servant, specifically, I started the whole process for it. And because that's in there, that's in the first servant song. It's they got the power of prophecy. That's what that means.
Oh, so epilepsy.
Yeah, it's potentially epilepsy.
Yeah. So
I don't think so, but potentially epilepsy.
It could very well be. It could be some kind of psychosis.
Yeah. By the way, great many other things vowed by all whose mind had been inspired to do so. Then King Cyrus brought out the sacred vessels of the Lord, which Nebuchadnezzar had taken along from Jerusalem and deposited them in the temple of his idols. Now, these things, most of them, weren't they said to have been destroyed? The metals and stuff?
I remember that the metal, gold, was melted down.
Right.
Stuff. But when it comes to vessels, that could mean a number of different things. Now, if it's very nice pottery or something, then it might be more cost effective to just take it
Well, the sacred vessels, I think, isn't that the phrase that was used for like all the stuff that they put in there, like the candlesticks, or not the candlesticks, but the candle holders, and like the tables,
probably something to catch ashes from the incense,
like a whole bunch of stuff that was described in Exodus, right? That whole portion where they're like, here's how you make everything.
And I think that was all metal, wasn't it?
I
Maybe
think so. I don't remember.
Because when they built the temple, they had everything with like this gold encasing, right?
They did have a lot of gold encasing.
I mean, there was like literally on the walls and stuff. So when they say that they set the temple on fire, they burned it down, they probably would then collect the metals from the temple itself. But everything else that was intact could still be used.
Sure,
I
suppose. I just remember saying that
you would just have to go through more effort to have it recast as a carrying vessel by someone else in Babylon, right?
Accurate, yeah.
So it would make sense to just take it. I remember something.
Yeah, but you could be a
about,
bigger dick and destroy it.
Yeah. I remember something somewhere about these vessels being taken.
I remember them being destroyed.
What part?
I don't remember, man. And I remember it being at the end of Kings, where it says that those things were something was destroyed.
Well, given that I don't have any commentary until verse 16.
Okay, I guess you can look that up.
I'm assuming this is in the writings.
The King stuff. I think that's prophets.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But
Pretty
Chronicles is in the writings.
Yes. Don't ask me these questions.
Kings is in
prophets. Yeah, it's one of the early prophets. Yeah.
Why?
Don't ask me these questions. You think I know?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't actually. I think it's and maybe I did learn it, but then I was like, this is a stupid reason.
It's by who was the tallest first, tallest to least tall.
No, either way.
Height, they're height based, the prophets. It's really dumb.
Either way, that doesn't make any sense. All right, I'm going to continue on. So the Nebuchadnezzar had taken along from Jerusalem and deposited them in the temple of his idols. Having removed them, Cyrus, the king of the Persians, handed them over to Mithridates, his treasurer, by whom they were transferred to Sheshbazzar. Sheshbazzar is the common Hebrew form. The Septuagint has Sanamasar or Sanabasar. Okay,
so let me really quickly read out this section in 2 Kings, chapter 25, starting at verse 8. And in the 5th month, in the 7th of the month, which was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylonia, Nebuzaradan, the high chamberlain, servant to the king of Babylonia, came to Jerusalem. And he burned the house of the Lord and the house of the king and all the houses of Jerusalem. And every great house he burned in fire. And the wall of Jerusalem all around did the Chaldean force that was the high chamberlain's shatter. And the rest of the people remaining in the city and the turncoats who had gone over to the king of Babylonia and the rest of the masses, Nebuzaradan the high chamberlain exiled. And of the poorest of the land, the high chamberlain left to be vine dressers and field workers. And the bronze pillars that were in the house of the Lord, and the stands and the bronze sea that was in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans smashed and bore off their bronze to Babylonia. And the pails and the scrapers and the snuffers and the ladles and all the bronze vessels with which one ministered, they took. And the fire pans and the sprinkling bowls, whatever was of gold and whatever was of silver, the high chamberlain took.
Okay, so they took a lot, they broke a lot.
Yeah.
Or they broke a lot of stuff and took it.
But it does say there that the vessels were taken.
All right.
I see why you would be confused because they literally describe smashing and then taking right next to each other.
Yeah.
Well, first you smash, then you take. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Let's continue on here. Yeah, by whom they were transferred to Sheshbazzar, the governor of Judah. The number of them was gold libation bowls, 1,000, silver libation bowls, 1,000, silver censers, 29, gold bowls, 30, silver bowls, 2,410. Wow, that's a big jump. Other vessels, 1,000. The sum of all the gold and silver vessels returned was 5,469. Nice. They, together with those persons taken captive, were brought back by Sheshbazzar from Babylon to Jerusalem. So the numbers do not correspond with those in Ezra 1, 9 through 11. They are 30, 1,000, 29, 30, 410, 1,000 respectively, or a total of 2,499. Though the sum given in the text is 5,400. First Esdras may be an attempt to harmonize the individual items listed with the total.
Yep, that was mentioned in here.
As is tradition.
Let me know when you get to verse 16.
Okay, will do. Going into the next section here. So the correspondence between the Sumerian officials and the Persian court. In the times of Artaxerxes, the Persian king, Bishlam, Mithridates, Tabil, Rehum, Beeltethmus, Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest in league with them living in Samaria and elsewhere, wrote the following letter complaining against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. Let's see what they were complaining about. So this is verse 16.
Okay, so we're coming now to the first major deviation in First Esdras from the order of events in Ezra. The latter continues here with the list of those who returned from the exile, Ezra 2, and an account of the start of the rebuilding program, 3:1 through 4:5. In First Esdras, this material is included later. There are two reasons for this rearrangement, and they may be viewed as complementary. First Esdras includes the story of 3 bodyguards in chapters 3 through 5, which presupposes that Zerubbabel came to Jerusalem only in the time of Darius. Clearly, therefore, Zerubbabel's journey and involvement in the first stages of rebuilding in the earlier reign of Cyrus, as implied by Ezra 2 through 3, required correction. At the same time, Ezra 4, on which our passage in First Esdras is based, is itself confusing, for it places the reigns of Cyrus and Darius correspondence from the time of the even later reign of Artaxerxes. This may have been due to the author's thematic rather than chronological ordering of this material. What is more, the confusion is compounded by the fact that the correspondence in Ezra 4 relates to the rebuilding of the city and its walls, and so is out of place in a context which refers only to a temple building.
All right, so should I get started with this letter? All right.
Yeah, hop in.
To King Artaxerxes, the Lord, your servants, Rehum, the reporter, and Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their council, judges in Coelesyria and Phoenicia. Now let it be known to our Lord the King that the Jews who came up from you to us have arrived at Jerusalem and have begun to rebuild the rebellious and evil city.
So Coelesyria and Phoenicia is the regular equivalent in First Esdras for beyond the river in Ezra, e.g. in Ezra 2:24. The latter was the official title for the province in the Persian Empire, while the former...
I remember Coelesyria in Maccabees, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
So beyond the river was the official title for the province in the Persian Empire, while Coelesyria and Phoenicia Phoenicia is. Then Coel Syria became the standard description for the same area in the Greco-Roman period. Such updating of geographical terms is a familiar feature of ancient translations. So, yes, Coel Syria would make sense because Maccabees took place in the Greek period.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, they're building their evil city again to restore its marketplaces and walls and to lay the foundations of a temple. Now, if this city is rebuilt and the walls finished, they will not only refuse to pay tribute, but even withstand kings. And since the work on the temple has already begun, we consider it appropriate not to overlook such a matter, but to call it to the attention of our lord the king, so that, if it appears proper to you, a search may be made in the records of your fathers. That was verse 18 there. The records of your fathers. There you will find in the memorandum matters recorded about them, and learn that city was rebellious and an annoyance to both kings and cities, and that the Jews were rebellious and inciters of sieges in former times, on account of which the city was laid waste. I wonder if we have any of these.
Maybe.
I highly, highly doubt it. So that was verse 19. Mm-hmm. Checking the commentary. The only. Well, there's a note here, a textual note, I suppose here. So both kings and cities, kai basiles, kai poles. Yeah, that works. So Ezra 4:15, the biblical parallel has basiles kai koras.
So the commentary does not break it down verse by verse.
No, it breaks it down.
No, that's the textual, but the commentary.
Oh, yeah, the
afterwards.
Yeah, it does not.
So if you want to see what they say about that specifically,
this is the commentary part. This is more of a commentary, an exegesis. I don't know. This is more of the overall general commentary, I suppose.
And those are textual notes.
Okay.
It's even labeled notes.
Yeah, just notes, not textual notes, just notes. If you look in Judith,
yep,
I'm pretty sure it's the same, where it's the things that when we say, oh, let's check the commentary, we're really checking the notes section. And I don't think that one actually had a comment section. This has a comment section.
So this has a notes section, but the notes is like a verse by verse commentary.
Yes.
But this also has a comment section.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
But they're just shorter.
They are shorter.
Okay. So this person just liked to talk a lot. So Korah is used exclusively in the Septuagint of Ezra and Nehemiah for Medin. So I guess that means city there, because it says polis is never used in the Septuagint to render. Actually, hold on. It actually uses the phrase basiles kai koras for Aram. And it says, I think this is supposed to be the Hebrew name for it. Melikin Wimdin. I don't know. I can't do with these transliterations. They're very, very not good. But in later Greek, polis is sometimes used as a synonym for Korah. The Vulgate has reges et civitates, kings and states. The phrase may imply a mistranslation or misunderstanding. One would expect kings and magistrates, or kingdoms and cities, but in view of Ezra 4:15, the matter remains uncertain. All right, I got done with verse 19 there. Now, therefore, we are apprising you, Lord King, that if this city is rebuilt and its walls erected, you will no longer have a way of approach to Coele-Syria and Phoenicia. So take it for strategic reasons. So that was the end of the letter. Let's see the reply, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
So starting at verse 21. Then the king wrote in reply to Rehum the recorder, Beeltethmos, Shimshai the scribe, and the rest of their confederates who lived in Samaria, Syria, and Phoenicia as follows. I have read the letter which you sent to me. When I ordered a search to be made, it was indeed discovered that that city has resisted kings from of old. Men have perpetrated rebellion and war in it, and powerful and stubborn kings resided in Jerusalem, lording it over and exacting taxes from Syria and Phoenicia. Were they? I don't remember that part. And now I have issued an order to restrain those men from rebuilding the city and to see it beforehand that nothing is done contrary to these orders, and that these evil measures go no further to the irritation of kings. So it seems like, now all the bad people that were doing bad stuff before, they're not going to be around. They're not allowed to do bad stuff. They're not going to be there. Although this text note here, there is that was verse 23. Oh, it just says that it's a considerable simplification of Ezra 4:20. That's all that it actually points out there. So that was the end of that letter, I suppose. So hopping into verse 25 here.
Is it B? Is the next letter B?
No.
Dang.
Then, when the document of King Artaxerxes was read, Rehum and Shimshai, the scribe, and their confederates, with horsemen and a host of soldiers, marched off in haste to Jerusalem and began to obstruct the builders. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Thus, the building of the temple in Jerusalem was discontinued until the second year of King Darius, king of the Persians. So I think, so in Ezra, the temple building did have to be stopped, right? So is this giving like a... I don't remember Ezra.
The results of the reordering of material for the overall narrative in First Esdras is to give the impression that no significant work was done on the temple before the reign of Darius, despite Cyrus's decree, and that, in contrast with Ezra chapter 3, not even the regular services were resumed on the ruined site. This throws into sharper relief the difficulties which face the first generations of returning exiles, and so sets the scene effectively for the great change in fortunes which Zerubbabel achieved. The vital importance of the new material about him included in the next 2 chapters is thus highlighted.
Yeah, it says for the taxes note, it could have been pretty much any king because it doesn't say anything specific. So there's really no degree of certainty. May have been David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and whoever. Maybe Josiah.
Maybe.
Let's see. That's the end of that section. I'm going to flip to I'm pretty sure it goes on, right? No, I think that was actually the end of the chapter. That was actually the end of chapter 2.
Oh, well, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, neighbors, everyone you've ever met. Everyone you've ever thought of meeting. Everyone you haven't met.
The redhead working over at the grocery store that you've been wanting to talk to for like 10 years.
Yeah,
that blonde.
guy.
That one.
That's a guy.
That blonde at the diner.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. The blonde at the diner as well.
Marcy.
Gloria.
Tim.
No, not Tim.
What about Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy, Johnny, Joey, Jill, Jack, James.
Tall you for
all
and
the
John.
names. You know, we list a lot of names here on the show,
We do.
so it's fun to say some names that don't suck to pronounce.
Well, okay, so this commentary here, I'll point out, it has this section, which talks about 3:1 through 5:3. Then afterwards, it has this section, which talks about 3:1 through 3. Then this section, which talks about 3:4 through 432. Then
What?
This section, which talks about 3:33 through 41. So, good luck.
Okay, thanks. This is horrible. What?
Yeah, it is bad, isn't it? But you know what? This book doesn't include 333 through 41. This book ends chapter 3 on verse 23.
Did you say so? It ends chapter 3 on verse 23.
Yep.
Okay, I mean,
So, whoever did the Eerdmans commentary, Hugh G, definitely wasn't using
Weird,
the Anchor
okay.
Bible.
interesting. All right, maybe there's I'll look around in it.
So, this story is about bodyguards, and it's unique. There's not the slightest hint of it in the biblical source of the book.
Oh, okay.
It's regarded by nearly all scholars as an insert in the story of First Esdras. It may have been designed to introduce Zerubbabel, as the likely gloss of identification of 413 and subsequent events related in chapter 5 seem to indicate, or as Fritzsche, or Fritzsche, because it's spelled like Nietzsche, but it starts with F, R, long ago surmised, to answer the question as to why Darius was so friendly to the Jews. So, let's hop on into it. Now, King Darius held a great reception for all his subjects, for all his household, and all his magnates of Media and Persia, all his governors and commanders, all his subordinate district magistrates of the 127 satrapies from India to Ethiopia. And they ate and drank, and when they had enough, they departed. And Darius the king went to bed. He fell asleep, but soon awoke. Next subsection. Then the 3 youthful bodyguards who guarded the person of the king said to one another, "Let each of us say what one thing he thinks is the most powerful, and to him whose dictum appears wiser than that of the others, Darius the king will give magnificent gifts and victory trophies. He will be clothed in purple, drink out of gold-plated cups, and sleep on a golden couch. He will have a chariot with gold bridles, a turban of byssus, and a neckband around his neck. He shall."
So this looks like the original. This portion that we're getting into is the original narrative of the story, with its 3 answers to the question, what one thing is strongest?
Yes, and byssus is a very fine linen. For those who are wondering what a turban of byssus is. He shall sit next to Darius by virtue of his wisdom, and shall be called a kinsman of Darius. Then they each wrote his own maxim, sealed it, put it under the pillow of Darius the king, and said, "When the king awakes, they will give him the pieces of writing. And the one whose maxim the king and the 3 Persian magnates judge to be the cleverest will be given the prize of victory for what has been written." The first one wrote, "Wine is the strongest." The second one wrote, "The king is the strongest." The third
That one's just sucking up right there. King is the strongest.
The third one wrote, "Women are the strongest, but truth is victorious over everything."
Sounds like he gave 2 answers there, but okay.
Yes, he did give 2
And
answers
he's
here.
disqualified. Dang, shoot.
Oh yeah, we just needed the one answer. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the king woke up, they took the piece of writing and gave it to him, and he read it. After he had all the magnates of Persia and Media summoned, together with the governors, commanders, district magistrates, and consuls, and seated himself in the judgment hall, and the piece of writing was read before them.
I do have actually a an interesting bit of commentary on these questions here.
Well, deliver your interesting bit of commentary.
So when the probability is recalled that the original order of the answers was the king, wine, and women, it can be seen that each of the second two answers builds on the previous ones. So because of its formation and how detailed each answer is, I guess they were able to work backwards kind of and come to the conclusion that the answers themselves are now out of order.
Yes. Overindulgence in wine is indeed powerful because it makes a fool of one. Proverbs 21, Sirach 31:25. The young Tobit is advised against wine to the point of intoxication, 4:15. The observations of Aristeas include only woman, truth, and the ruler. So. Thereupon he said, call in the youths, for they themselves shall explain their maxims. So they were called, and when they came in, they said to them, tell us about what you have written. Then the first one, who spoke of the strength of wine, began and said, O men, how incomparably strong is wine! It confuses the mind of all the men who drink it. It reduces to the same level the mind of the king and the orphan, the mind of the slave and the mind of the free man, the mind of the poor man and the mind of the rich man. It turns every thought into gaiety and joviality, and makes one forget every grief and every debt. It enriches all hearts and makes one forget both king and governor, and makes him speak of everything in colossal figures.
Sounds good to me.
When they drink, they do not remember the friendship of friends and brothers, and they soon draw the sword.
Oh.
And when they recover from the influence of wine, they do not remember what they have done.
I don't remember the last time I drew a sword when I was drunk.
You just didn't have a sword on you.
Right. But if I did have a sword,
You would have.
yeah,
Definitely.
someone was going down.
Oh, men, is not wine incomparably strong inasmuch as it prompts them to act in this manner? And he was silent, having spoken thus. And yeah, that's the end of chapter 3.
Is it really?
Yep. Chapter 4 starts after that.
Wow. Thanks everyone for joining us for the episode today.
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird division, but you know what? I suppose it works out because there are 9 chapters in here. So
next week, we will finish this story about what's the most powerful between these 3 things.
Yes.
And you'll get to see what all the magistrates and everyone, the consuls and everyone out there says is the best of the 3.
can't wait to see this probably later edition. Let's see what it has to say about the strongest of the things.
Yes.
Yeah. So as of right now, what do you think of Esdras?
Well, it's a book. I mean,
It's the
there's
same thing
not-
we read before. It's
it's
yeah.
pretty similar. I guess this little parable that we're getting into now is a little more interesting than some things. It's ridiculous. I mean, these 3 dudes were just like, let's do this, and then the king will reward the one who wins. It's not like the king was like, oh yeah, here's a competition, I'll reward the one who wins. These are just 3 guards. And
Justin's asking about members.
The channel membership thing.
We should do that.
Yeah, I suppose I could.
Is it hard to do?
Probably not hard to do.
No.
it's probably just a button that you have to press.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Could probably set that up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it gives you like emotes and stuff like that. But like,
We should have that.
we
We should. Everybody.
should. You want to make some emotes?
I already made secret commands. Don't tell
yeah,
anyone.
that's fair enough. Yeah, there are secret commands now.
I guess you would have to exclamation point commands.
No, they're not even in there.
Oh, they're not in there?
Oh,
Apparently,
they're in another category
Oh!
what's
category.
even the point of having those?
because it's secret.
Is it? then there's no point.
You have to know to know about them.
Yep.
But
They'll
then
come
the
up when they
second,
come up. I'll eventually use them.
the second anyone uses them, everyone will know about them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they'll have to look back to the chat and stuff, though. Even if they put in commands, they won't get it. I'll demonstrate.
Oh, great. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what secret commands we got. Oh, that's not a secret one.
It is.
That's a secret. Okay, I guess if you want to call that a secret one.
It is. It's a faster way to do Behold. Now it's under our secret category.
Okay.
Oh.
If you know about it, you're in the in club.
Gotcha.
Well, I guess everyone who knows that there are secret commands now knows
That there are secret commands.
that secret command is now in the in. It's not much of an in club if you
There's more.
immediately inform people. What? It's not much of a secret if you immediately inform people that there's a secret and then show them what it is. And it's not
Yeah.
much of an in club.
This one's the easy one. This is easy.
Okay,
There's harder ones.
I'm sure.
I don't even understand the purpose. He's not
Good.
even putting them
It's
in the
for
commands
fun.
thing.
It's
It's fun for you. It's fun to nobody else.
okay. Well, fine. I like to have fun.
Well, so yep. I hope everyone's having a good time listening to Ezra again.
Yeah, brilliant, and also Kings and Chronicles.
Everybody's
amazing.
favorite book, First Chronicles.
Absolutely. So let's see. I don't really have much more to say about the book. So make sure if you are not, if you have not liked the video, that you do that. Subscribe and then share it around, all that good stuff.
And if you're not a patron, go be a patron.
Yeah, you could be a patron.
You could be on this show.
Yeah, you could be on the show. You get video scripts for $1 a month. That's crazy. All of our scripted videos. And you could get books. You can win T-shirts because we spinny wheelie every monthy.
Every month.
Every monthy we spinny wheelie, and you
can
can
be
get
on
it.
it.
You can get a TT with Buzzy B on it.
Wow.
You make it even shittier. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's pin
A T-shirt. Yeah, let's
Buzzy B T-shirt.
a good one
Yeah.
this time.
Which ones have Buzzy on them?
That has Buzzy, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, that one has Buzzy. There's Buzzy.
Just decided on this.
His name is Buzzy. He's also a boy, I guess.
Okay, if you sure, why not? So yeah, if you just want to get a shirt, it's there. And let's see what else we got. We have a wish list. Lots of great books.
Yeah,
on
you
the wish
can
list.
add to this table with the tomes of knowledge that we can use to deliver information to you so that you don't have to read. You can just put on your headphones and go, I don't know, on a gondola ride. You can engage in, in amateur boxing, they wear headgear, so you could wear headphones.
I suppose.
And
You could listen to it while you go
Yeah.
for a walk.
wireless headphones, have your corner man hold your phone so that you can listen to us while you're in an amateur bout.
Yeah. So if on the off chance you are currently in an amateur bout,
We hope you win.
You got this. Let's
Yeah.
go.
You can do it. We believe in you.
All right. Either way, we got. I don't think we have anything else.
We got a Facebook and a Twitter.
That's right. Oh my God, those are free to follow. Facebook and Twitter.
Totally free.
Yeah.
Almost as free as, I don't know. Fucking-
Freebird, that song.
Yep, Freebird.
Yeah. Almost as free as Freebird. All right. We're stretching this out for no reason.
Yep, we definitely are.
Like Freebird, that song that goes on for no reason.
Maybe once we hit 1 hour and 35 minutes,
No.
the algorithm will be in our favor.
No.
No, I don't think so. All right.
No.
Well, either way, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we will see you on Sunday
and then Friday.
We're here on
and
Fridays
You can
to
see us anytime.